trusted you with our votes. We have sent you to Congress for decades. We expect you to follow through for what we Iowans really want our government to do, and not to have a federal government that is being dismantled by this President Trump and Elon Musk. Please stand up for what's right and do your jobs.
Hello guys, and welcome back, and thank you. We get a lot to get to in this segment. Let's get right into it. That was the people from Iowa. They faced and questioned their senator, Senator Chuck Grassley. He represented the district in Iowa, and he had to face the constituent. They have questions. They have questions to their lawmakers. And we all know that the GOPs, they have been trying not to face the constituents, not to have a town hall. I believe maybe they think it is not possible for them to have voted in totality. You know what I mean? So, Senator Chuck Grassley, he hosts the town hall, and seriously, the constituents, they came with their questions. And I want us to take a look, then we are going to have our thought at the other side.
Thank you all for turning out. In the spirit of representative government, I consider myself half of that process, and my 3 3/10 million constituents the other half of that process. And in order to represent people in Washington, you have to have dialogue with your constituents. This is the best way to do it. If this is the only way that it was done, I wouldn't communicate with very many people. So I rely upon all of you and people that aren't here to email us or use postal mail or use the telephone. Remember, if you leave your name and address, we'll answer your point of view on paper and things like that. Now, this is the first meeting today. I go from here to Clarion, and then to Humboldt, and then to Fort Dodge. And then tomorrow morning, I go back to Washington, D.C. If you wonder what I'm doing here on a Friday, most weekdays I'm in Washington, D.C., but the Senate's not in session. So, you know, I'm not playing hooky for my job there. I'm going to, since we have such a large crowd, I'm going to take one question from each person and try to cover as many questions as I can. And I'll try to give as short of an answer as I can so I can get to as many questions. And some of you may come not to ask questions, but just to tell me what's on your mind. And that's perfectly all right. I'll be glad to listen to you and say thank you, and then move on to the next person.
Okay, so I think we need to talk about the rule of law.
Yes.
Nobody trusts that Trump will actually follow the rules. So I have a question.
How about decorum?
You can ask your question.
Okay, so I don't feel that Trump is actually, so rule of law, the judicial system, right? We have a separation of powers. The judiciary decides what the law is based on their interpretations of what you've written, right?
Yeah.
So how is it that then when judges make decisions that all Trump does is say, oh, they should be impeached, and he is making us afraid to stand up for our own rights because we're going to then be sent to El Salvador into a high security
And we're going to follow his law?
Judges' rulings should be abided by.
That's not what he said.
Judges' rulings should be abided by. And I read statements in the newspaper that Trump was going to do the same thing, but he was going to appeal. And so
And how much does that cost us?
there's a hundred.
How much does that cost us? And how much will it cost us to bail the farmers out?
Let him answer.
Well, we are. Who are you?
He's had 66 years in office.
There's 120.
We have a right to talk.
Hey, I got the same right you do.
We gotta keep it going.
There's 127 cases filed
He does.
compared to about a dozen with previous questions. So what you learned in 8th grade civics, the checks and balances of the government are going to continue to work. That's the
It's not working.
Who was not appointed by anything with the advice and consent of the
You can bring
Senate.
every one of us down. Every single
Access to our personal data.
Yeah.
Why
Thank
do
you
you
for everybody.
into everything that, he hasn't even been vetted for anything? In fact, he's still a citizen of not only the U.S., but of Canada and South Africa. I mean, why is he the number one person that is just going through and overhauling everything by cutting everything?
And why is Congress allowing that?
It
He pays
seems to me-
no taxes.
It seems to me that what you're seeing going on today is what I've heard 2 Democrat presidents say since I've been in the United States Senate.
This is not Republican, Democrat. This is about us, the
I'm
people.
talking to you.
You're here to talk to all of
I said, I think that they're following what I saw 2 Democrat presidents say since I've been in the United States Senate.
Which is too long.
1994,
That was
Clinton came to the Congress of the United States, and he said, as a result of the 1994, the era of big government is over. And then in 2011, I heard President Obama give a speech that we got to get rid of the waste, fraud, abuse in government. We can't tolerate it. So that's what's happening again.
That's collectively, not just
Everyone's okay with fraud, but you find fraud by actually looking for it. You don't find it by just saying, okay, I'm gonna cut off your funding. You can't, that's no way of finding fraud.
Right,
I mean, let's
that's
be
right.
entirely- Security fraud done by doctors and nurses who file fraudulent claims against, Medicaid, right? So why are we going after them? Why are we actually cutting the access to the, money that the people need? Why are you assuming that people who are receiving benefits are in the wrong?
Yeah, that's right.
Again, addressing you.
You're
Give you an
addressing all of
example,
us.
$20 million in the Defense Department that since Trump's been president, and I asked him to do away with the Agency of National Assessment, which is supposed to assess annually the needs of our national security, and they haven't been doing it since 2013, but they've been assuming $20 million. They announced that they were going to do away with the Agency of National Assessment within the Department of Defense. I think it ought to go on to other people now.
In the back?
Senator, may I ask a question? Senator?
Yeah, obviously the Senate and the House has the power of oversight of the government, of the president and people in his administration. It seems to me that Trump and his people are moving very rapidly toward a dictatorship and an oligarchy. And firing people at will and just randomly isn't solving anything.
Right, that's right. Statistics, you gotta know what those numbers represent.
But my question is, what are you doing regarding oversight? All that concerns, but I've not heard anything from you or any of the Republicans in the Senate or the House for that matter. And, so you have the power of oversight. So the courts are doing their job and doing it really well to rein in Trump and others. But we need to have the Senate and the House also providing oversight. And so it is your job, obviously, what you've done for decades. You know it's your job, but we are depending on you and the others to help save democracy.
You speak up very clearly.
I will address your question. question. I think I gave you one example of $20 million in the Department of Defense. I think I've got another thing. I've got an investigative staff on, and we've got 33 investigations going in. So I'd have to have you, I can't give you all 33 of those investigations.
Give us one.
But well, one of them would be the waste in the EPA as an example.
What you just said, 20 million.
Democracy, the waste in the EPA. I mean, what are you going to do and what are you doing to save democracy? This is...
Appreciate you being here, Senator. And in fact, as I've written you before and emailed you, and you've always responded, and I appreciate that, and I honor you for that.
Yes.
I think I'm frustrated because of that civics lesson you talked about. That we have three branches of government that run this country and determine our policy on the big issues. Are we going to turn Canada into the 51st state? Are we going to take over the Great Lakes? Are we going to impose tariffs throughout the world and hurt our Iowa manufacturers who happen to sell $5 billion every year of farm equipment, road equipment to the Canadians?
Used to.
If you look at Gomaco from Ida Grove, Iowa, they have 5 locations in Canada to sell pavement equipment.
Not anymore.
Together with Pella Windows, together with Vermeer, who has a dozen. And my question, sir, and I think what's on our mind here is where is Congress?
Yes.
Members of Congress. There's only one president. It's 535 to 1. When does Congress act? When does your committee and the Judiciary Committee send a subpoena to Elon Musk? You can do your job because nobody knows in this country what the hell is going on with Mr. Musk and how he is apparently have his own agenda, in my view, to ruin the country. When does he take it?
Article 2 of the Constitution says that the executive power of the federal government is vested in the President of the United States. Truman wanted to make that
We don't care about it.
Truman wanted to make that such a strong statement that he had a sign on his desk says the buck stops here.
It goes
So
to his pocket.
everything that goes on in the executive branch of the government is a total responsibility of Trump and the people that he has appointed and be confirmed by the United States Senate. And they made very clear 2 weeks ago at a cabinet meeting that only the cabinet members could carry out any decisions that Trump wanted to carry out.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
And so remember, the buck stops in the Oval Office.
Does the buck stop with Charles Grassley?
Thank you for taking my question.
I won't be able to take all the questions, but I'm going to take as many as I can.
Senator Grassley, as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee during President Trump's 2 impeachment trials, in spite of overwhelming evidence you voted twice to acquit him. Since taking office for his second term, he is dismantling our government, as many people here have been talking about and are concerned about. That's in violation of our laws that Congress has created and in violation of the Constitution. My question to you is, why do you believe that President Trump is above the law? And I'll just reinforce what other people have been saying here. Why have you not spoken out for it?
Yeah.
You have- Do your job, and we have trusted you with our votes. We have sent you to Congress for decades. We expect you to follow through for what we Iowans really want our government to do, and not to have a federal government that is being dismantled by this President Trump and Elon Musk. Please stand up for what's right and do your jobs.
Yes, guys, that was just a little bit clips from Senator Chuck Grassley town halls that he had with his constituents in Iowa. And I will say, I don't know if you guys noticed, Senator Chuck Grassley was calm. He was calm, even though, yes, it is a heated, you know what I mean, town halls with the constituents, but he was calm. Comment down below if you noticed that. And I think because he is doing some calculation, unless if he's not coming back for re-election in 2026. They know that the election is coming up in 2026. And whether they like it or not, they will still have to speak with their constituents. And moments like this will for sure come up, that their constituents want answers. And if he's running for re-election, I can bet you he will go back to his office. And we might be seeing new votes coming up that is not going to favor this administration, because most of these GOPs, they are thinking of their re-election in 2026. He might not answer the questions, in which he did not answer most of their questions, but if he's going to come back 2026 to face these same constituents that he needs their vote, we might, let's put it that way, we might start seeing these GOPs voting against this administration and voting along with their constituents. Do you guys notice that? That Senator Chuck Grassley, I will give it to him. He was calm. And maybe he was calm due to, okay, he want to listen to his constituents, or he was calm due to he's doing some calculation that I'm still going to need all of these constituents to vote, so I better listen to them. Though I ain't going to answer that question right now because the camera is rolling, but they will see their answers by him voting, things that's going to benefit them. What do you think? Let's continue the conversation down there in the comment section. As usual, please let's respect ourselves while we comment. We are just following the news. When it's trending, we bring it down here and we chit chat about it. I will catch up with you guys later. Bye for now.